At any point, this is my question to you, and we'll springboard from here.
Okay.
At any point prior to my birth, or really
so long ago I can hardly think about it,
day 1 to 36 years after my birth, did you ever think, man, I really wish this boy was a girl?
I don't think, no, I don't think ever.
There was never a moment where you saw your friends with their daughters and thought, oh, to go shopping with the daughter would be so much fun, to talk about skincare, hair care, outfits, dating. It's just different with a boy. To be fair, we've had those conversations, which we'll jump into here, but have you ever just wondered or thought, even for an hour, it'd be better to have a daughter than a son?
I think since the moment I gave birth to you, and I didn't know what I was having, and I think
tell that story, because I think that's interesting.
I felt like I was having a girl.
But you didn't want to know.
I didn't want to know. No, I wanted it to be a surprise. I felt I was having a girl, but there is this interesting thing. This company that I worked at when I was pregnant with you, this woman made, in fact, we still have it, these incredible dolls. I mean, they were just, I don't know, big and cute and chubby. And
they look like less scary Cabbage Patch dolls.
Yeah, they're not scary at all.
Very approachable, but like rounded features, exaggerated eyes and mouth, but like adorable.
Adorable. So she said to me, you're pregnant. I want to make you a doll as a gift. Do you know what you're having? I said, I don't. And she said, well, what do you want me to make you? And without thinking, I said, a boy with blonde hair and green eyes. Dang.
Question, what color are my eyes?
I think they are kind of green. Don't you think?
I have no idea.
No, I think they're green. They're definitely green.
Here's what I do know about my eyes, and this is something that was told to me probably like when I was 12 or 13. I have speckles in my eyes. You do have
golden speckles in your eyes.
I mean, does that just make me some weird, bizarre outlier?
For sure. Or like half tiger or something.
Or I have systemic cataracts?
No, I don't think that's it. But obviously you're not now, but you were a towhead when you were little. You were certainly blonde when you were born.
True. Over the years, I've tried to be blonde again.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes not.
Yeah.
So, I think that I thought right away girls were a handful. That's how I just felt.
From the jump, you're like, girls are
a handful. I mean, I watched friends argue with 3 and 4-year-olds what they were going to wear to school. And you were just thrilled if I threw clean clothes at the end of the bed. Do you know what I mean? You didn't care.
Yeah.
And then, girls have an opinion and they get sassy fast, right? So I kind of watched all that and thought, oh, this is way easier than that. And then, of course, the teenage years. I mean, if you're a mother of a girl, you turn stupid way faster than if you're the mother of a boy, And so I was like, I think I kind of like this. Now, fast forward, I'm going to say just after college. And this beautiful thing happens. And if I had jealousy, this would be it. It wouldn't mean that I want to replace you. It would mean like I just might want one, right? I think that everything a mother has invested in her daughter, all the good things, even though they've had this,
tumultuous relationship.
Exactly. I just think in adulthood, it eases out. The girl figures out, really the challenges the mother has had and is appreciative of them, right? I'm not saying that happens with everybody, but I've seen it enough that I know it can be like this amazingly good thing, right? And I do think it's sort of like, what does it say? A man should leave his mother, to be with his wife, whatever that is.
I have no clue. Keep going.
But a girl will be your girl for the rest of her life, however that goes. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Something like that. And I do think there's some...
I think it was Descartes that said that.
Maybe. I don't know. God. But
yeah, anyways, that was definitely a quote from God.
From God. So I think like that is sort of like, if girls have a really healthy relationship with their family, I think that that's where they want to migrate back to, with their husbands, right? So that's why I'm going to be nice to whoever you marry. So I'll be invited as well. But no, I really never, ever wanted you to be a girl.
So would you say that our continual conversations about skincare and hair care are just a fringe benefit of now our relationship?
Honestly, like I do care about skincare. But you care about skincare way more than I do.
My thing is, I have a new care for skincare in that I just will buy every product now under the sun.
I think you need to delete that Instagram account that I had you.
Nope, follow. I won't delete anything skincare related because if I miss out on it, I'm going to have total skincare FOMO. But I was thinking about this the other day. I thought Deb just had to wait long enough for me to start caring about the same feminine things that are typically associated with femininity that she cares about. And she'll get a glimpse of what it would be like to have a daughter. We had like a full-blown conversation, or I mean, we continually have full-blown conversations about skincare and skincare products. And it's now reached the threshold where I'm like, have you tried this? And you go, no, tell me about it.
It has gone crazy. I mean, I could invite any young woman over to the house. Alyssa's an example. Jen Beebe, Dr. Jen Beebe, who's a client and become a friend, was here this weekend. And you two at one point are talking more about skincare. And I'm like, yeah, he's adaptable. He can talk, if I fill the house up with girls, we're going to be fine.
Yes. But please shower me with compliments and saying, Kevin, thank you for meeting me in this area in which I have lived forever and now have a cohort.
So the areas that you would meet me that I think are nice, like if I said to you, hey, I'm going to go get a mani-pedi, like really a relaxing one, not just to get it done. Like, why don't you come with me? You might come with me.
For sure.
Yeah. Now you're not going to let them put anything on your nails, but you're going to let them.
Maybe a clear coat.
Would you?
I don't care.
Okay, so you've never done that with me before. You've just had them shine them up.
I'll tell you what, mani-pedis, I absolutely see the benefit of them. It's really intimidating to go in there as a man for no other reason than it's just absolute fish out of water. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to expect. I did one of those. I did a pedicure in Louisiana with my friends, Amy and Allison, and I watched this woman take her shoe off, take her sock off, and soak her foot. And then this very beautiful Vietnamese woman just took a cheese grater to her heel.
Yeah, that's
and
bad.
I was horrified that that's what was going to happen to me, because after one just like I would just be bleeding. This woman, she was just shaving off her foot. And I thought, this can't be a one-size-fits-all thing. So I think for the first half of my pedicure, I was just in sheer terror that I was going to not have a foot anymore.
So apparently she had a bad callus back then.
I guess.
I've never had anybody use anything like that on me. In fact, they always say, oh, you have nice soft feet.
Good.
So, I mean,
I inherited those from you.
Yeah, I don't get that. But I do think like you would do that with me. You would definitely, here's the thing.
By the way, everybody listening to this is like, no, this is no surprise to anybody.
Yeah. You would not, like if I said, let's go shopping for face products, you'd be like, nah, I'm going on Amazon or whatever. I mean, like that wouldn't happen.
That's mostly the millennial in me though.
Yeah. And you wouldn't, even like with clothes. I mean, if I said, oh, let's go shopping, you'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Well, it was funny because earlier this week, I think I've said a handful of times to you, I was like, I think my hairdryer is dying on me.
Oh, I love the new hairdryer, by the way.
I have a hairdryer that I've had for 8 years now, and I am nothing if not frugal, meaning I will get every single piece of hot air out of that hairdryer before it dies. And have you ever had that moment where the hairdryer like kind of sparks?
Oh God, yeah, get rid of it then.
Terrifying.
Because it's going to burn your hair out.
I've still been using it for months after that first spark.
Oh.
So I think it's finally dying. And this was just like a Costco brand hairdryer. So I think it's had at least 2 or 3 lives as far as it should have existed in the first place. So I mentioned to you, I was like, yeah, I think I need a new hairdryer. And you bought a new hairdryer, and there was a piece of me that was very hurt that you didn't also buy me one. Because you have this
kind of an expensive hairdryer for me.
It is. And here's the crazy thing about hairdryers. You bought what would be considered a low-end price hairdryer, because if you go find like that Dyson hairdryer, that thing is $500.
I know, but so one of our friends has the Dyson hairdryer.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have the Dyson hairdryer. I want to try it. Now, it's a really good hairdryer, but the Dyson hairdryer is a little heavy.
See, what's funny is...
I don't like that.
I was talking to my stylist this week because I got a haircut, and she has this very compact, very lightweight hairdryer. And she said the same thing. She says, it's just so light. It's effortless.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's just the difference between men and women. It doesn't bothered me, the weight of a hairdryer. I've never thought like, oh, this is really heavy because I'm holding it for all of a minute. But I also don't have nearly as long of hair as you. I don't like curl my hair. I don't use that enormous round medieval brush that y'all use. Yeah. So I guess I understand it on a far smaller scale, but I guess hair dryer weight is something that I should be considering, so I don't get carpal tunnel.
Hair dryer weight is a thing, like the ions in it, so it doesn't like totally ruin the shaft of the hair and all that. But I mean, you can easily spend $400 on a hair dryer. I will never be doing that, but it's like easy.
I don't know how I could ever rationalize that just being a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no point that I would ever say, with what I do to my hair, which is nothing, I just put some mousse in it and then blow dry it, where I could ever rationalize buying something for $500 where I should just go buy $5 $60 hair dryers.
So I'll give you a tip here.
Please.
You can try my new hair dryer if you'd like. Okay. But then I have a perfectly good hair dryer that I'm going to put probably in the downstairs bathroom. And there's already a perfectly good hair dryer
I noticed
in the downstairs
that one.
bathroom.
I think I'm going to steal that one. Yeah. I think I'm going to end up stealing that one because it's the exact same one as that I have upstairs. And then it's just going to feel like this effortless transition. And then I won't have had to pay money because Lord knows Dad's not using it.
Daddy is not using it, nor has he for many, many years. Though he did say to me recently, do you have a hair dryer I could borrow? And I said, is it coming back or is it going to be yours forever?
Right.
Because I knew it was going to be used on like some wood product or something.
The last thing it was going to be used for was to dry hair.
Exactly. And he took it away and he brought it back. So it was all safe. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, so you give me enough of that, right? Of that conversation that I'm fine with it because I'm not like crazy girly either.
Sure.
So, and then all I have to do is like, Jen was here this weekend, so I got a good dose of it. Or Alyssa, when she asked what to buy you for Christmas, my suggestion was either some cool socks or face products. Yep. And she was like, oh, I'm going to face product him all day long. And then you two talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, it was a deal. So,
well, if you need any more evidence that Deb and I spend too much time together, just feel free to call the police when we start opening the podcast with makeup tutorials. At the point that I'm talking about eyeliner, base, and rouge, that's funny. Me keep saying rouge is funny. You should be laughing at that.
Well, what I want to say is, why don't you say blush?
I don't know what blush is.
Rouge is like from the 1950s.
That's why it's funny.
Oh, okay.
Let's start the podcast.
Oh, gosh.
Welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. One is a Harvard Business School alum. The other is her son, discussing business, pop culture, family, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Deb and Kev.
Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Deb and Kev podcast. Joining me, as always, is the Beavis to my butthead. It's my mom, Deb.
I'm Deb.
And I am the great Cornholio. That's a deep Beavis and Butthead reference to anybody. I hope you're all chuckling out there. I'm her son, Kev, and this is our podcast. Do you remember how fiercely you were opposed to me having ever watched that show?
Oh, my God. First of all, I just saw them.
Yeah.
And I went, hell no.
Yeah.
And then I heard, they were called Beavis and Butthead, obviously.
Which, when you think back on it, they're the most benign names ever.
Right. And then but I just, for you, it would have been like, you would have called a teacher butthead. I mean, just giving you that language.
Which, again, saying it out loud is just funny. You have called a teacher a butthead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Poopy pants, and then I can just, I don't believe I ever watched it, but I just assumed that it was a bad influence and I was opposed to you watching it. Yeah.
It was.
And I don't know that I've ever watched it.
No, I don't even know that I could absolutely understand what that show was about. I just remember having it on for like 30 seconds at one point, and you're like, under no circumstances.
You are not going to watch a show called Beavis and Butthead. Have you seen those two? Yeah.
Exactly. On today's show, in Deb's business segment, the guru will bestow upon us the knowledge of how to prepare your business for an eventual sale. So get ready for that, all you future entrepreneurs. We've taken about a month to scour the internet for the best videos we could possibly find. And in the most boomer way imaginable, we're going to explain them to you during Good Job, Internet. Then we will wrap it all up as we let you know what we're eating for dinner and tell you what we are thankful for. But first, Deb, you kind of alluded to it in the cold open. We had our very first visitor of 2021.
So having somebody show up on your doorstep is like the best thing in the world. And this is somebody that we both talk to frequently, right? I mean, like, not a week or two goes by that we don't talk, but literally showing up in person is such an amazing thing. And she had actually heard us on the podcast kind of rail about how dad goes here, dad goes there, dad's not careful, we're more careful than dad. And right after that, she said, well, if that's the case, how about if I come visit? And so, we had a house guest, Dr. Jen Beebe from Grand Junction, Colorado.
Well, technically, we didn't have a house guest. She did not stay here.
She didn't stay here at the house. Yeah.
But yeah, she flew in on Friday. We spent all of the day yesterday together, and then she just flew out this morning. And it was just a nice treat. It wasn't too short. It wasn't too long. You hadn't seen her in almost 2 years, 18 months, something along that?
It's been a while, yeah.
Same with me. I mean, you guys are in constant conversation, so there's this, beautiful dialogue that happens. But again, I think we can all agree that the thing we've missed the most in the last year plus is people. And It's the experiences with those people. And I said to somebody the other day, I don't care what it costs in 2021. If the ability to go see someone exists and I can do that and everybody's safe, I'm going to happily spend my money to do that. And it was such a treat to have somebody come our way, because I feel like more often than not, we go to people.
Yeah.
So to have her here and to be able to show her around and then go up to Truckee and drive around the lake and really just have her for dinner and just casual conversation. It's just great talking to new people.
It is. And just seeing them in person. Like, I found myself just staring at her face a couple of times. Like, it was nice to look at a new face in this house. But it was really cute. You did a super sweet thing. So she is just intrigued by Dungeons and Dragons, knows nothing about it, and is like, Kevin, Dungeons and Dragons, it doesn't sound right to me, meaning you doing it, you being so enthusiastic about it. So she had spent some time saying, like, explain it to me. And it is hard to explain.
It's impossible to explain without visual aids, because it's so visual and it's so involved.
Yeah. And so last night, as a surprise after dinner, we had a lovely dinner and had a little dessert. And then right after dinner, you, as a surprise, brought out our 2 little figurines and said, okay, let's do this for an hour and a half. We'll give her a taste. And it was so fun and so funny. I laughed so hard. I thought, I'm going to lose it here. I'm not going to get control of myself. It was
at the risk of alienating the audience, the majority of which don't play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I gave them both their little figurines. They had their character sheets with all their skill sets and abilities on it. I gave them their little packets of die that they can roll. We had casual conversation, and then we just kind of launched into it. And I think one of the really tough parts when you first play D&D is you are beholden to the dungeon master, who's really just the narrator of what's happening. And as an individual playing a character, you automatically assume things will happen because that's just human nature. If I do this, then this is going to happen.
Your imagination takes its own road.
Right. Cause and effect.
Yeah.
And so I've played this once with you before, and it's in a very, very quick turnaround. Deb takes it upon herself to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she'll forget that there's a narrator. There's somebody who's actually overseeing this, and she'll say, well, now I see this person, and now I see this person, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. Have you looked for them? Well, no, but I know they're there. And there was this great moment where I think we'd been playing for about 45 minutes, and Jen had officially become comfortable with the gameplay, and she saw that you were comfortable with it. And I mean, and I try, my whole thing as a DM is like, yes, and great job. Here, what do we want to do? It's just building everybody up to feel very comfortable in this totally foreign world. So you both had decided you were going to poison these wolves. Right. And you went and bought this little elixir from an old lady in a market. You bought 2 large cuts of meat. And then I would say for 20 minutes, you two sat and dialogued about how you were properly going to poison these wolves, which
Oh my God.
If anybody who's ever played D&D, and if you've ever played in the future, when it comes to wolves, nobody spends more time thinking about how to kill anything more than wolves.
And I know that. We've talked about it.
People spend every minute trying to debate how to kill wolves. So you guys are in this field and it's just you two, and you see this smoke kind of emitting from the forest.
A little plume.
And so you're trying to walk, quietly, and all of a sudden Jen's character falls. This wolf emerges, whether it's the wolf or not, who knows?
I did say that. I didn't know if it was our wolf.
Right. And so both of you decide, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut holes in this meat like we're making room for garlic cloves.
I was so specific about the way I was cutting it.
And then we take the poison, and with my gloves on, I rub the poison into the steak. And then for the first time in gameplay, Jen's like, and I pop up and I chuck the meat into the forest. And I said, okay, roll an athletics check for that. And she rolls super high, meaning like in one foul swoop, she stands to her feet. She has this meat. She throws it like a hammer throw in the track and field, and it goes crescendoing into the tree line and disappears. And she's like, did we kill the wolf?
And I was worried that it landed in a tree.
And I was like, I have no idea if it hit the ground, if it hit the tree, if a wolf ate it. And she's like, well, no, I threw the meat and I threw it in the general direction of an animal. So the animal should have eaten the meat. And it was, granted, I believe we've lost every listener now explaining this. Yeah. It was one of the funniest things because she's like, no, I threw the meat where the wolf was. The wolf should have eaten the meat. It's dead now. We're good. We won the game, right?
Yeah. No, that was exactly. It was so funny. I was dying laughing. Then I looked at you.
Oh, I couldn't breathe.
Point, your face your hand was in your face. I mean, it was, And then, of course, you made a point of telling her that her, character was kind of a dum-dum.
I didn't have to tell her that. It said on the sheet, your character's pretty dumb.
And so I couldn't figure out, Jen, are you not talking because you're a dum-dum?
You thought she already embodied her character so fast.
Exactly.
It was an absolute great time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Whenever I can spread the gospel of D&D to anybody, I'm happy to do so. But I think as this world opens back up, my hope for everybody is that you get to spend quality time like that with people who have been sorely missed in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's the thing we've all missed. It's the thing we all look forward to. I was talking with somebody last night and I just said, I want to do everything and anything. I don't care how much money I spend. Who cares about money? I want all these memories that I didn't have for the last year.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And for people that haven't gotten out and haven't seen somebody that they've genuinely missed for, this past year and some months, I will tell you, just seeing their face is like such a great thing. And just in person, it is so satisfying. It feels so good. I mean, we are social creatures and we're meant to be together. It's that simple. Yeah.
And then, of course, she came from a state that doesn't have In-N-Out Burger. So at 10 o'clock at night, we drove 15 minutes south to the In-N-Out Burger that had 60 cars in line when we pulled up. And fortunately, it's a well-oiled machine, so it went fairly fast. And like all visitors do, they asked, can you take me to In-N-Out Burger? And we said, sure.
Yeah. And she, when we were coming off the freeway and she saw the line, she was like, oh no. And we're not like, no, that's it.
It's daunting.
This is the line. Yeah. This is how the line is. And it did go. It went really fast and she got her burger and she said she felt, like terrible this morning because she'd eaten, but it was well worth it.
She's like, I think my body thought because I was out at 10 eating fast food that it went muscle memory to when I used to drink alcohol. And so my body just assumed I would be hungover this morning because that's how I feel. And she explained that to me. And I was like, yes, that makes all the sense in the world to me that your body's like, oh, we're going through this routine. We got to dust it off and see if we can still make this work. Even though she didn't have an ounce of alcohol in her, the body said, we need to treat it like you do.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really fun because the last time we had guests, we
almost lost them to the wilderness.
Well, we almost lost them to the wilderness. There was that. They had wanted to get to In-N-Out, but we rescued them with a warm, hearty dinner.
Yep.
And that kind of ruined everything. So,
True.
yeah.
So it was awesome. It's great to have people. And again, we tell everybody we're fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
Don't worry about my dad because he doesn't worry about himself.
Yep.
If you want to come visit us, there's no better time than the summer because we can take you to Tahoe. There's trails you can walk or run or hike. It's the most beautiful time of the year is during summer, and we would love to have everybody.
Absolutely.
Conversely, invite us to your places as well.
Exactly. And so Jen had said a couple of times, she goes, so where's Gary? And I go, I don't know. I mean, we just...
Second family.
We don't know where he is, but he'll be back.
Yep.
He'll be back for sure.
Plus, when we get guests, Deb does things that she would never normally do, like spur of the moment, go buy a gluten-free bundt cake from anything bundt cake. And now we have this half bundt cake left, and I am super excited to have a sliver of it before Dad annihilates all of it before nightfall.
You did scold Daddy last night.
Well, because he had 3 pieces.
That he couldn't have more because it was the only gluten-free dessert in the house. But where you sit at your desk, if the door is open.
If the door was open right now, I'd just be staring at it.
Yeah. I mean, I watched you this morning, just your eyes kept flicking up at that cake, like, gotta have some.
Yeah, the gift and the curse of great people coming by is
we'll give you a good meal.
Yeah.
We'll play games with you. We'll take you to Lake Tahoe for at least one meal.
Yep.
You can visit the lake. So yeah.
That's the Deb and Kev tourism board.
Yeah, we're good about it. It's pretty repetitive for us, though we never tire of it.
No,
right?
never. And I was actually really happy because the weather was kind of wintry almost.
Yep.
Even though we're like 2 weeks removed from 75-degree weather, and on the end of this week, it's going to be 80s. I just love the schizophrenic weather of spring because, in 2 months when it's 7 days in a row of 100-degree weather, I'll miss these days.
I agree. I mean, it did. We had a little rain in Truckee, and then by the time we were coming down Mount Rose after the lake, it was little baby snow flurries. So we had everything.
Love it. Thank you, Jen, for visiting us.
Thanks, Jen. It was a great weekend.
Avid listener to the podcast, and she watches our YouTube clips.
I know. She's one of those 4 people.
Yeah. I mean, you could be one of those 4 people too. Mm-hmm. Deb, let's talk business, huh?
Let's do it.
I feel like we've talked more broad strokes lately, which is absolutely fine. That's still all very applicable to people in our listening audience. But we're going to get down into the minutia of what it means to go through the process of getting your business ready to sell it. Whether you own your own business or aspire to own your own business, or think I can buy somebody's business and run it properly. Talk to us a little bit about what it means to get a business ready to put out on the open market.
Well, let's I think that's a good conversation. I want to say this is that, if we're talking about a really, 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 really large corporation, then I'm probably not going to be speaking to some of the details that would be required for that. But you're not
overseeing the AT&T T-Mobile merger or anything like that.
And we're not talking about having to get board members involved or anything like that. So, but generally this would be the same, and we can speak more specifically, I think, to, small business or medium-sized businesses, for it. So I like to compare it a little bit, and especially for our listeners that don't own their own businesses, to selling a house. So, the first thing about selling a house that you're going to say to yourself is, what could I sell my house for? Right?
True.
And we do that all the time in our neighborhood because in Reno right now, there's a very limited inventory of houses, and houses are going up, 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 which to numbers that are unbelievable to us.
I think I saw the median house price is like $480 in the Reno Sparks area right now.
Somebody you heard it from your realtor friend that somebody just bought a trailer for $365, was it?
Yeah, a trailer, but like not a hitched trailer.
No, it was a trailer on foundations, but still
2-bedroom, 2-bath for like $385.
That's crazy.
In a not so desirable part of the area.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. So anyways, you want to see, because obviously if you're not going to make as much money as you think you're going to make, right? You need a reality check with that. Or if there's tons of money to be made, then you want to take opportunity of the market, right?
True.
And sometimes when we pick to sell our businesses, we are done, so we're not going to necessarily say I'm going to hang out for another 10 years until the market escalates, right? I mean, in an
you mean
world,
like when you make the mental choice to sell,
right?
You've already said, I'm pretty much out of here, so I want to have it sold in a year's time.
I'm going to say like 3 to 5. I mean, 3 to 5 years for sure.
Got it.
Okay. So, I mean, or at least that would be perfect. And if it were a year, I feel like just a year, most people, their businesses are either in really good order and they're ready to do it and they know they have something they can sell. Or I would say it might be like a little bit of an emergency situation where there's a health issue with a current key employee or the owner or something like that.
Got it.
But anyways, so, you have to figure out the true value of your business, and chances are you don't know that, just like the marketplace in real estate. You have a good idea, but what's the first thing you do is you bring in a realtor.
Right. One, two, three.
And the realtor tells you what the marketplace is really doing. So for an instance, the realtor might say, I know you want $500,000 for your house, but look at all the comps in your area. That's never going to happen, right? Or a realtor might say something like this: look at the comps. You're not going to get 500, but if you just updated 2 bathrooms, I think we could get you there. So she's going to give you the real story of what's going on in the marketplace.
Men can be realtors too.
That's true. So, or she may say something like, hey, you know what? The market is so hot right now. I mean, get the house cleaned up, get it organized, do a thorough editing, meaning take stuff out, make it seem more spacious. I know you want 500. I think we're going to get to 650 with what the market's doing.
Love it.
And you don't have to do a lot because simply the location, the property is in high demand, right?
Yep.
So the same thing happens with a business to a certain degree. Now there are certainly, like if we talk about medical, because you and I work with medical a lot, there are certainly other entities that will buy medical practices. Like if you were a doctor, another doctor will buy one, right? I mean, that's a new doctor coming up, maybe in your practice would want to buy one. But there also are investors now that just are looking to buy these things, right? So it could be just an unknown group. I'm going to say an unknown group to us at this point.
Who's just trying to diversify their portfolio, or who wants to start their own brand. They're going to get a bunch of practices that fall underneath that new brand.
Exactly. It could be a vendor or a manufacturer who wants to get into the business that they're currently delivering to, right? So there's a lot of different options. So a business realtor may know what's going on generally with some of these businesses, in some cases specifically, and you could certainly get their input. But you would also want to get the input of like if a manufacturer has bought these, what does it look like? What is the factor that they apply to the value?
Find a knowledgeable resource with this.
So there's some homework required.
Yep.
It's not just what you think, your business is worth. And remember, normally we're starting from, like a profit place, not a sales place, not a revenue place. And then of course, if you own property, that's a whole different thing, because hopefully people want to buy that as well, or maybe not. Maybe you want to lease to somebody forever. But as far as the business goes, so there's getting that realistic expectation of what you can get for it. And are you happy with that number at this place in time? I think the other part of it is, like with a home, we would get a home in order, right? But what does it look like getting a business in order? In a home, it might be painting, it might be updating, it might be clearing some stuff out and editing. Pretty simple. That would all apply to a business, but probably more towards the end when you're really getting to sell the business, right? Yep. You want to make that kind of investment. But what you want to do is, especially if we're talking 3 to 5 years, those are the numbers that people are going to look at. So you want to generate as much revenue as possible to create as much profit as possible, which means you want to really dial your expenses down so that you look more profitable.
Yep.
And any way, shape, or form that you can do that, you want to do it. So if you have
everybody
is one way. Then the other thing is, if you are doing tons of write-offs, and I'm not a CPA and I'm not the IRS, and I'm not in any judgment of the write-offs that anybody is doing at any point in time.
And we're not telling you to do anything unethical. Again,
no.
We have said this 1,000 times. This is simply satire, fun, mother and son talking about hypotheticals. If you ever listen to us, that's your own fault, and we will never be held liable.
So I think the thing is when people are heavy, when their business is heavy laden with expenses that may or may not be legitimate. I'm just going to say that.
Fair.
It is less profitable on paper, right? And it is often hard to convince somebody, well, this is what I did and this is what I did. And
and that's usually good for the owner, the current
Right.
owner, for it's not looked that profitable because of taxes and all this
Right,
other stuff.
right.
But when you're looking to sell it, you honestly just want to flip that upside
you want
down.
to flip it upside down. So this is the time to make the business, be as profitable as possible and let that other person decide, the new owner, how they're going to do.
How they're going to siphon funds.
Exactly. I guess. Yeah. So, anyways, so I think it's getting your numbers in order, because I think sometimes business owners are really surprised by their numbers. And then I think, again, it's finding these unbiased people in your life, right? That will really be brave and say, oh, maybe it's a good story. Maybe not. Maybe some more work needs to be done.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at 3 to 5 years, we can get some good work done in that time to get the business ready to sell. The other part that I think people don't talk about a lot is really taking the processes, the protocols, the way you do things, and putting that to paper so that if people bought your business tomorrow, you can really hand them this guide, do you know what I mean, of everything that's done. Depending on the size of the business, this should be a lot of information. Like I'm sharing forms we use. I'm sharing everything, right? So I think at the point that you're getting ready to sell it, those things are done. They're ready. They're clean. It makes sense if somebody's looking through it. If you're sitting next to somebody, you can kind of explain it. I think, you need non-disclosures to share that kind of information. I might even say like some of it, and I'm going to say if you have secret sauce stuff or things that you do that are particularly unique to your business or proprietary, then it wouldn't just be a non-disclosure. I might ask for a letter of intent or something like that to, further show their interest, do you know what I mean, in doing it. And then I think finally there's some stuff you really don't tell. I mean, obviously you're doing this thing, whatever it is,
Well,
right?
like when we sold Emerald City twice, we were very hands-on. I mean, we literally were side by side with these potential buyers to show them every element of what we did. I literally took people shopping.
Well, we also had, I'm going to say like a 3 or 4 inch notebook that Dad and I had really
a big binder.
Hearts out, putting together. And we gave it to, we shared the notebook with people that were interested in buying it so that they would know really at the day that we walked out the door, their answers, they still had a place to go to, with all of their answers. It was little things like a sample copy of a schedule and how we looked at a schedule and busy times and all of those kinds of things. So
would you say that was over the top or should be expected?
I don't know. I know it was a lot of work when we did it, but I will tell you, it answered people's questions so easily. And I think what it was representative of a well-organized business.
Oh, see?
That's what I think.
I
people,
like that.
Yeah. And so you sold yourself as the running of this, right? The managing of all of these little tiny parts I have encapsulated for you.
Even these hypotheticals, meaning, hey, we put this binder together maybe when we weren't even thinking about selling the business, but we knew that if we had it today, it allowed us to not have to worry about it tomorrow. And we just kept it fresh. We updated it when we knew there was an overhaul. So at the point that anybody came knocking on our door, whether we were thinking about selling it or not, we had this asset that we could immediately lean on before we even actually needed to engage with somebody in full-blown conversations.
Which would take care of the thing of like, I get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? And I hold all the answers to crazy questions in me and I'm gone, right?
Yeah. There was a section called What If, and the first one was, what if somebody runs into your building with their car?
Yeah, what do you do on that day?
What do you do?
Right.
Yep.
You get the injured out first.
Yep.
That is the answer. But and then you call the insurance company
immediately.
Second. Yeah. But I think it's like really getting things well organized and getting yourself well organized to begin to let go of it, because the last thing anybody wants is to buy a business with crazy emotional attachments to it, right?
Sure.
You're selling it to somebody else. When you sell it, they get to do, what they want. And I do think like that's a bridge every business owner has to cross. Like, do I really care about the legacy of this business? Blah, 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 blah.
Tell me why somebody would, like, at the point that you're willing to sell something, at the point that you're willing to remove yourself from this thing that's been a part of your life forever, why in God's name do you actually care what happens to it after you're gone?
Because, people just do. And I think it's like, especially if it's not a family business, it's like somehow it's been such a part of you for however long, right? And I think it's, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's your baby. And you somehow have a dream of that being carried on.
But then keep it.
No, I mean, I'm just saying it's a process people have to go through. I mean, I will say, I don't think it's that hard to get to, so-and-so can buy it for $4 million.
Yeah.
And this entity will buy it for 5.5, right? And if there's really no difference in the terms, I'm going to take the money all day. Now,
sure.
If the 5.5 said to me, I need to be around for the next 5 years, I'm probably going to take the 4.
Okay.
I mean, just because
Makes
for
sense.
me, 5 years would be too long to work for somebody else, right? So I just think you have to get ready for all that stuff. And then I do think there is, I'm just going to say, housekeeping of nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense we have in our businesses that just doesn't matter.
Yeah, we already touched on that. Fire everybody.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And you have to ask yourself, like, does this only matter to me? Does it matter to the business? Do I need to include it? Like, let's thin it out, right? Let's get rid of it. Let's not, if we have little hoarder areas, clean them up, make it nice. Because at that point too, you're selling, people are walking through a business. They're looking at it. They're getting their head around, could I live here, right? I mean,
it is
same as a house.
It is kind of a refreshing exercise to, and I'm sure people do this with their home. So, selling your home is a perfect analogy of looking at your business and trying to view it from an outsider standpoint, because I think it gets really sobering really fast. Like, oh, this stack of papers 6 feet high in the corner that has dust and spider webs on it, bad look.
Yeah.
Probably don't want that. This fridge that has 12-week-old milk and dairy product in it, let's get rid of that. Probably don't want that. It's good just to do that normally. I mean, you should probably have better standards than that, but I think it's a good exercise to, what would you be critical of if you were somebody interested in buying that? Now, granted, you have to have some level of self-awareness to do that.
But it's also things like, I've seen things like, there's 2 old printers in this closet. Like, we bought a new printer.
Yeah.
I mean,
but we kept the 2 old ones just in case.
I mean, like, you see that kind of thing all the time. And I'm saying, if the old printer still works, find a place to donate it. Somebody would be happy to have it. But in the world of printers, you can get printers pretty darn inexpensively, right? I mean,
and if they're from the 80s and they're those Scantron pull the tabs off thing, I don't think those are going to make a comeback. You can junk those.
So, and all of that, what I want to just call that electrical nonsense. You have the cord, but you don't have the thing anymore, right? Let's just weed out and get rid of that. But I mean, that's just a small example. I mean, really, you want to get your numbers in order. I'd say your processes and protocols in order.
Yep.
You want to be able to share people what marketing efforts you've made and that work for your kind of business, right? You want to be able to show them at the end of the day what profits, you can count on consistently, not the roller coaster of profits, but what is pretty consistent in your business. And then, of course, the physical space, you want to be, incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes people have unrealistic goals of, we got a lot of work to do here, sweetie. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I think other times people are in pretty good shape and could do something and pull the trigger, pretty quick. But it is, we're in a mindset, we're in a changing place today. And so it's really hard. We've talked before about should real estate still be going up like it is? Like, should the stock market still be doing what it's doing?
Well, Deb and I are casual economists, and we from our evidence that we study daily, we know that it should be. We won't tell you our secret sauce to that, but just know that we will start an economist podcast here shortly and tell you when the market's going to dip.
Right, and then this is the other piece. If you are a younger person selling a business and you have this lump sum of cash, what are you going to do with it? I mean, really,
Bitcoin.
Talk to your accountant. I mean, you want the least amount of tax implication. Where do you need to put it? You might already have plans for another business, so that's not going to be a problem. And you want to, you need to have a plan on how you want to receive the money. Do you want it all in 1 year? Would you prefer it to be, paid out over a few years? I mean, if you're retiring, that's a different kind of, issue for people and how they want the money to come to them. So, I mean, there is a lot of work and a lot of detail that actually goes in to buying or selling a business. And in the event of selling it, you want to maximize the money you get, and not just the sale price, but the way that you get it, and then the way that you invest it, and the way it becomes available to you, from then on out.
And here's the two things that I've noticed after we sold our business. And I know the reason for this is ego. I know it, but it still never ceases to amaze me. Why somebody who sold the business would then care what the business does.
Yeah.
We have literally watched our restaurant be handed over to somebody, given right back to us, sold again, have them drive it into the ground. At no point did we care. We watched it then be another restaurant, failed, and now it's a completely different restaurant
that seems to be doing fine.
Yeah. We drive by it almost every day, and there's zero emotion for it.
We don't care.
Meaning, I know we left at the exact right time. The deal made sense for our family. We all walked away from it thinking that fulfilled the need in us for a certain amount of years. There's no emotion. Have at it. Have a good time with it. Then the other thing that doesn't make sense to me, as an individual, you identified a business that you want to buy. It's profitable. It makes sense to you. You negotiated the terms, and now you have purchased a successful, thriving pillar of the community. I want to change it.
I know.
That's the weirdest thing.
People want to put their own thing on it all the time.
Which is only ego.
Yeah.
If I ever was to buy an existing business, I would wait years to do anything to it, just so people assumed that the original owner still owned it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think one of the things that I do want to say for people selling businesses, the reason that we could be, I really want to say, so casual emotionally and not care, like we had people come up forever on the street
still
and apologize to us. I'm so sorry. I heard, no, well, it wasn't our business and we don't feel bad. We're good. We feel like the legacy ended with us and we were happy with that. But I know why we owned that business for that period of time. It served such a specific function in our lives for what we needed. And then it didn't. Then it didn't. And so when it didn't, it felt good. Like, oh gosh, this took care of us. We took care of a piece of the community, if you will.
Yeah.
We left with a good reputation, and now we get this money and we get to go explore, new options of what we want to do. So for me, even though it went under, I don't care, Yeah.
We'll be really honest with this listening audience right now.
Oh no. How honest are we?
We've already done this segment. We did it back in episode 12. We forgot that we did it back in episode 12. I think we probably gave you some new gems to steal from. It's been probably 6 months since you've heard that. So if anything, it's just a refresher course with some new insights. But we will do better to make sure that we don't duplicate already previously talked about segments.
So here's the real truth.
Oh yeah, let's blame it on somebody.
Jen B was sitting here today and I said, hey, why don't you're a business owner, think of the business segment for us. And she hard.
Sat there for like 15 minutes racking her brain
for something. And when she said, and I wrote it right down here, prepping your business for sale, right? And I thought, have we done that? But
I thought the same thing.
I don't know that it's just not a conversation I've had with somebody, right? Because I have had.
We talk about this all the time. I've been in my head the last week being like, did I have this conversation on the podcast? Because if I didn't, it would be great. But am I going to go through the podcasts and listen to see if I've had this one specific conversation? And when she said that, I almost instinctively knew we had that conversation before. But as soon as I thought that, it quickly left. And I was like, thank God we have a topic.
Yeah. And that's kind of the place I went to. But here's, so let's put a little bow on this.
Got it. That was Deb clapping her hands.
Yeah. Sorry. So number one, get a professional involved, and whatever your industry, the professional would be, plus maybe a commercial realtor for your area, business realtor for your area, and really find out, do the homework. It'll take a little bit of time, more than a house, and find out what your business is truly worth right now. Okay. If you like that number, proceed forward. If you don't like that number, you've got some work to do. Right. Secondly, really get the processes, protocols, get it all down. So I am going to wipe you off the face of the earth when this is done, and they've got all the answers, right?
Yep.
I mean, and it can't just be with people, because people may leave immediately upon your leaving, right? So it's got to be accessed in a formatted way that would make sense, I'm going to say, to anybody, right? So get those kinds of things in order. Make sure that you really have something. I think it makes a difference to be able to hand somebody something, or, electronically send somebody something, because I do think it makes you look like a good business owner, well organized, have your talking points ready. People will ask you, I'm going to say what feels like kind of personally intimate questions about your finances when you go through this. So, tough skin, you've got to be able to answer the questions that they have, right? Physically, get it in shape. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if it needs a coat of paint, if it needs to be a little bit updated, it's just like your house. It's going to sell for more if people see that, right? And then lastly, do a deal that really reflects what you want for your future. So if the money is the most important thing to you right now, then go for the cash. Feel free. If you want out of the business, meaning I want to hand them the keys and go, do that. If it's the kind of business where you're willing to stay for a year or two because that's important to the buyer and it makes your business worth more, then do that. But there's a lot of layers to selling the business. And I think that upfront homework is mandatory, because I think we all think, look at all this, look how hard, look the work I've done, da 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 da. And sometimes the end sale price is not what we think it should be. Sometimes the business did a grand job of supporting us for whatever number of years, but for whatever reason, and it could be the economy, or it could be literally the last couple of years, it's not going to sell for what you always dreamed it would. And you have to be prepared for that.
And if you want to hear this episode again, go to episode 12. We were on the other side of the room. We were using different microphones. We weren't recording it with video. It's just a good flashback.
Thanks, Jen. But we're true to Jen.
Hey, somebody asked us to do something. We did it. We're shills.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
This will show you how quickly we're willing to sell out. We don't even know that we sold out.
Yeah.
Before we talk about complimenting the internet, my right eyelid has been twitching for the last 3 days.
So what does it mean?
I know exactly what it means, and I didn't think this was the case, but it's absolutely the case. When you Google right eyelid twitching, because it's 2021, you get a response.
And?
Too much caffeine. Thursday, we had a lot of Diet Coke. Mm-hmm. Friday, had a lot of Diet Coke. Yesterday, had a lot of coffee. We've run out of decaf pods for our Nespresso. So now I usually only have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, but one's decaf and one's regular. I'm drinking 2 fully loaded cups of coffee. I am overdosing on caffeine to the point where my eyelid is trying to remove itself from my body.
Is it just doing that little quiet twitch?
Yep. And here's the worst thing. I found that out last night I've had 2 cups of coffee.
There you go. We still don't have the decaf pods. Yeah.
So if you watch this video and it just looks like my eyelid is trying to pull itself off of my face, you now know why. And I've been just rubbing it the entire time, trying to calm it down like a little babe. Shh, it's okay. We're almost done.
It's got its own life, Kev.
Deb, would you like to go first in the segment we call Good Job, Internet?
I do want to go first.
Please, by all means.
I want to go first because, not going to lie, I might be stealing something you might be talking about.
I have 1,000 to choose from.
Okay, good. So my first one would be the handsome Zac Efron.
Oh, is this a compliment to the internet?
No, it's like...
The segment's called Good Job, Internet, and then we put the thumbs up emoji under it.
Good job, Internet, showing it to me.
Good job, Internet, ... showing it to me. Okay, it's Deb's newest segment. Good job, Internet, ... showing it to me.
So I think that the young Zac Efron is a very good-looking man.
And this is very timely and it's very topical.
Yeah, I think he is incredibly good-looking.
Yep.
I think he has aged well. In fact, I would think, I mean, what is he, 30? I don't know, but...
Yeah, I have no idea.
But,
man, thinking that Zac Efron's 30 makes me feel awful.
But, I mean, he may not be, but as I've watched him grow up, if you will, I've thought he is even better looking.
Yeah, it's one of those people you're like, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Can you please have an ugly moment?
Exactly. Now, Zac Efron recently had some work done.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
very heavy finger quotes.
He's got this really big, tough, squared off jawline now.
Oh, as Jen, who was with us, said, it's a Thanos jaw from Avengers. It's a thick, square chin and protruding, chiseled jawbone, which, hey, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But when you've been called the world's sexiest man 2 or 3 times, what are you doing messing with your face?
Exactly. And he did some lip filler.
Oh, yeah. Big time lip filler.
So if you look at the pictures, and he does not look bad. This is not Catwoman. This is not that at all.
But again, you're relating it to what you already know, which is this was a very good-looking man, an exceptionally good-looking man. And the good-looking man didn't think he was good-looking enough, and he had to go change it.
I know, which is crazy. Listen, I don't care. Go get all the plastic surgery you want. I think everybody, it's a personal choice. Everybody gets to do what they want. But Zac Efron, to me, was undeniably good looking.
Yes.
By any standard.
1,000%.
And that Zac Efron either listened to somebody that told him to do that or felt he needed to do that. It did age him a little bit. I mean, not in a bad way.
Yep.
But it did age him. And maybe that's what they were looking for it to do. I don't know.
Like he and his team, they're like, hey, buddy, we've sat down and
we still look like a child.
We need you to look 10 years older for the rest of your life.
Exactly. I don't know. But you should look it up and check out the side by side. One more thing. I have 2 things.
I get to go now.
Oh, okay.
So really difficult for me to pick like one video of families being reunited after COVID. I mean, grandchildren seeing their grandparents for the first time in, over a year.
Killer.
There's actually a video that took place in our airport of 2 sisters seeing each other for the first time and one sister meeting her niece.
Oh, I saw that. That was that
stuff is awesome. So by all means, I mean, if you have the chance to watch that, they pale in comparison to military servicemen and women coming home, because that stuff is like immediate tears from me.
Right.
But just seeing, elderly people embrace their grandchildren for the first time in however long is just like sappy Kevin stuff. But there's a couple things. I'll start with one, then I'll give you back to yours. They're in a gym and it's a bunch of little kids. And they're all socially distanced. I think they're wearing masks and they're wearing private school uniforms, and they have like catwalk music playing. And the kids, the way they're sitting, kind of like forms what would be like a model's catwalk stage.
Okay.
And there's this little black girl, and they're like, okay, it's your turn. And she puts her hand on her hip and she pops that hip out, and she is just like striding with the most purposeful, model walk that she's envisioning models do, and the hips are swaying from side to side. And if like she wasn't wearing a mask, it would just be this like intense Naomi Campbell look, and she's staring straight ahead. And then she reaches what would be the end of the catwalk, and she just spins on a dime and keeps popping her hips out as it's just
awesome.
It's so great because it's one of those things that at any other age you would be just way too self-conscious to do anything like that, because it's a little girl and she's with all of her friends and the adults are gassing her up, being like, you go, girl. You're just like, yes, we should all strive to just be less self-aware and be free to do whatever we want to feel good about ourselves. And of course, we can learn 1,000 things from kids that we have now forgotten as adults. But it's just this great moment where this little girl gets lost in the moment. Kids are applauding for her. The spotlight's on her, and she's just owning every single piece of it. I love it.
I love that. Children before they're self-conscious.
Totally.
I mean, it's the best in the world. Okay, my second one is last night, right before dinner, we were sitting and talking about facial care products.
Okay.
And Jen said, have you heard of Hanacura? Is that
Hanacura, Hanacure, Hanacure.
Oh, Hanacure. And we both go, no. And she just starts laughing. And so you immediately start Googling it. And the first thing you say,
well, she says it's a face mask. And I say, oh, like one of the Korean face masks that you apply. She says, it might be from Korea, but it's not like a cotton mask. You paint it on.
And she said, it's like this fancy little glass vial.
Yep.
And so she goes through this whole thing. She said, here's the thing.
And you mix it with this other serum, and there's this like paintbrush essentially that you just paint it all over your face, and it goes on clear.
So it's a whole thing.
Yep. And it starts to harden. You're like, oh, okay.
It starts to harden. And in the hardening, she said it pulls her eyes back so far.
It like
she can't close them.
It turns into, she says, it's like cracked glass on your face. But what it does is it soaks all the moisture from the product, gets soaked into your face, but the product is still on your face. So your face looks like a desolate, cracked desert and they actually call it a zombie mask because you do look like The Walking Dead, but it pulls every facial feature that you have so far back that your eyes are like permanently wide open and your mouth is stretched.
Yeah.
There's celebrities who have done it. And the first one I saw was Drew Barrymore. And Drew Barrymore looked like she was like running at 1,000 miles an hour through a wind tunnel.
So funny. Now, Jen said her skin felt completely amazing afterwards. So she, was voting for the product, but she said, I just wish somebody would have told me. And then when you Googled it and came up with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, oh my God,
and there's normal Drew Barrymore. And then there's that. It was wild.
I love that Deb takes this segment that is Good Job Internet and goes every other place than just Good Job Internet. We are talking about a segment where we find something online and Deb's like, so let me tell you the story I heard from a person the other night in my living room under Good Job Internet.
Good Job Internet.
Good Job Internet.
Well, I bet the internet introduced Jen to it.
Maybe, but that's not what the segment was. So my last one is there was a video of a gentleman in a barbershop in England. And he was there because he was getting his hair buzzed because he had just been diagnosed with cancer, and he didn't want to go through the process of losing his hair. Yeah. He wanted to just have it trimmed up himself, which I get because like in that moment, you're still in control and you're not letting chemo or the illness take your hair. You yourself are saying, I'm going to take my hair and I'm going to be the one who decided that I go bald. So the barber is cutting his hair, and it's a very young barber. He's wearing a mask and he's got beautiful style hair. And it's that point where when you bleach your hair, and as guys who have done this, the best part of bleached hair is when it's like grown out after 2 weeks or maybe even a full-blown haircut. So where just the ends are kind of that nice whitish blonde.
Yeah.
And as he's taking the hair off the gentleman who has cancer, he just takes the shears to his head and he starts shaving his own hair off in solidarity. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this is the nicest thing in the world. And the guy in the chair just like
loses it.
Totally loses it. Yeah. And it's just that kindness of people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's only hair, but of course it's so much more than just hair. And living with a guy who has cancer, who has shaved his head, fortunately, he's fairly bald, so it's not as pronounced. But to see other people doing stuff like that for one another, just this beautiful moment of humanity in what would feel like the most, unconventional of ways.
Yeah.
It was great.
No, I saw that. And it was the way that he did it. He was doing the shaving in kind of big swipes like that.
Yep.
And he, did it several of those on the guy. And then his hand movement just went like this and then back. It was so unexpected.
The guy in the chair initially didn't know what was
what's
happening.
going on? Yeah.
And then he, after the second pass through, understood it.
It was amazing.
It was very cool.
I think that, no, you're right. I mean, listen, yours are way better than mine.
Yeah, because I follow the formula, lady. Go on the internet, find 2 videos that are nice. But hey, if you want to talk about the internet being a friend that you're talking to in the living room, sure.
I will tell a funny story about Daddy with the hair cutting thing.
That was good job, internet. Good job, internet. Deb, you have a fun story you want to talk about?
Story.
Okay, go for it.
So I came home from a trip a couple weeks ago, and Dad said, I shaved my head. My hair was falling out. And I was like, really? Because I thought I would have noticed it. I wasn't gone that long. And he goes, no, it was falling out. And I'm like, okay, well, you did it.
Sure.
And he didn't seem emotional about it at all. So like a week and a half goes by and I look at his hair and I go, looks to me like all your hair is growing back. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, I thought that too. And so then another week goes by and I go, I'm thinking you didn't need to
We're looking at him now, and
yeah.
it's like, yo, you need to cut your hair.
Exactly.
Your hair is crazy right now.
So he shaved it all off, and it's all growing back, and it's fine. And like you said, it's not a lot of hair.
Nope.
I mean, I said to him when he did it, I said, but look at your beard.
Yeah.
Look at your eyebrows. And yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, there's that. Hey.
Yeah.
That's a little win, I guess.
Yeah.
As we wind this podcast down, what are we going to have for dinner after 2 wonderful nights in a row of meals?
I had a great Greek salad when I was back east, and like a good Greek salad.
I feel like Greek salads are traditionally found back east. Like, I don't feel like we ever see them out here.
I feel like we don't see them here either. And I mean, it's the dressing, because we can all do feta and olives and red onions,
right.
and, tomatoes and all that. But it was the dressing. So I found a recipe. We're going to do a big Greek salad, and I just think some grilled salmon over the top.
Sounds good to me. Sounds healthy.
Yeah.
It sounds like the meal you would make after you've had a bit of a bender.
Yeah.
Though we did anything but that this weekend.
I don't think we were bad.
Well, my eye is twitching a lot, and we do have a full-blown cake in the house.
Okay, 2 things.
But I mean, last night we had a huge Caesar salad with filet because we're bougie like that.
Yeah.
The night before we had pesto mashed potatoes with grilled asparagus and salmon. We're on a bit of a salmon kick, which I mean, I think everybody can agree that's great. So yeah, we're just kind of keeping the quote unquote health train going with this meal.
Yeah. When we'll have cake afterwards.
I mean, clearly we're going to have cake afterwards.
Be honest.
We're going to have cake afterwards. Yeah. All right. Deb, tons to be thankful for this week. What are you in particular thankful for on this last weekend of April?
I have 2 thankfuls.
Yeah.
One is obvious. She was sitting right there, Jen Beebe.
She gives horrible Deb's business segment advice, but we love her to death.
Having her here was completely amazing. And she is really chill. Like, she'll do anything. She just doesn't even like, hey, let's sit at the kitchen table. I don't care.
Yep.
Right. I mean, so I love that about her. So totally grateful that she made it here safe and sound and that we had such a good weekend. But then my other grateful is Izzy has been having a few health problems.
Oh my gosh.
And we found out
different health problems. Like, you guys have been like, oh my God, guys, we get it. She's alive. Completely different health problem manifested midweek.
So then we found out she had pneumonia.
Yeah.
Midweek.
How does that happen?
Because she kept the whole world up coughing all night. I mean, literally coughing like 1,000 times a minute.
It's that cough where if you've ever had a dog, you're like, oh, they're about to puke, except nothing came out every single time. And it happened 6 or 7 times an hour.
if you Google those symptoms, it can be some horrible things.
Yeah.
So pneumonia is not good.
Nope.
She is an older dog.
True.
But she's on antibiotics. I think she's doing well. Still coughing a little bit. We do these little treatments on her and pat her to death really hard. And I put her in a steamy shower today. So hopefully she'll be getting better. I think she's going to be fine. I'm glad it wasn't anything more serious.
Sure.
But Izzy, come on. You're healthy. You're 12. You're not ancient. Behave. Get well. Be good.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus, you're using up all your funds, girl.
Oh, I told her on the way home from the vet, you have no more money for the rest of the year. Yeah.
It is homeopathic home care for you
Whatever we can do
rest
here.
of the way.
Yep.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Do you think people think we abuse our dog now?
No, but you have to set limits.
It's insane.
Yeah.
She's a healthy dog. She's just dramatic right now.
She's dramatic with pneumonia.
Yeah, she's being really dramatic with pneumonia, and we're sick of it, okay?
Yeah.
My thankful isn't nearly as big. I mean, clearly, as we mentioned earlier, it's amazing to have somebody visit us, and that goes without saying. I have my sheets in the wash right now, and I am so flippin' excited to sleep on clean sheets.
Oh,
it is one of the most underrated things in the world. Clean, crisp sheets to crawl into. It's going to be overcast. It's going to be a little windy tonight. You get to just kind of curl up in the clean, and they smell great because we put those little beads in the wash.
Yeah. Kevin is a lover of the beads.
They're so good, and it just smells heavenly, and I can't help but think that that's what helps me sleep deeper, is knowing that the sheets are clean, they smell good, and it's like bad weather outside.
You know, Kevin, you did a really good job. So the manufacturers of those beads would love you.
Well, we're not saying the bead's name.
No.
No free ads.
Unlike 7-Eleven.
Okay, some free ads. Here's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to come up with a segment, because one of the things that you talk about is, prepare for what you eventually want to do.
Right.
I want to find ad reads that are just goofy as all hell, that we just do on the air as prep for when we eventually get advertisers. I don't know if we're ever going to get advertisers, but we will eventually get advertisers. And I want to do a segment where we just find the most obscure, bizarre things that have ever been written for like radio or television.
Let's do it.
I want that to be a segment. If any of you have ever heard anything, or if any of you have ever stumbled across something where you're like, this can't possibly be real, and you want Deb and I to read it, send it our way. We will happily do so.
We will read it on the air.
Because then I feel like we're manifesting our future while still making great content for the listeners.
And I want to say to all of our future advertisers out there, we're already grateful for you. You are on our list. Yep.
Looking at you, 7-Eleven. That's going to do it for this Monday's episode of the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like, rate, review wherever you listen to us. And if you want to see us do a topic we've already talked about before, so it's new to you visually, feel free to follow us on all of our social channels and watch this episode at our YouTube channel, Deb and Kev Pod. Anything else, Deborah?
I think we're good.
I love you to death.
I love you, baby.
We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Thank you for listening to the Deb and Kev podcast. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow Deb and Kev on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter at Deb and Kev Pod.